Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to learn how to set up a customer in QuickBooks Online. It is the same process as it used to be, but because they're rolling out the new dashboard, it goes over a little bit of how to find the customer center so that it's less confusing for everybody when the change takes place. In the meantime, my name is Andrea and I run Simmer Tax and Accounting, which is an accounting firm where we help small business owners with everything from their monthly bookkeeping to their annual taxes. And I also run the Bookkeepers Apprentice, which is a school channel where I teach bookkeepers how to manage their business, how to interact with their clients, how to get new clients, and all kinds of things, anything related to being a bookkeeper. So feel free to join me or reach out to me in any way. All of the information you'll need to do those things is in the description below. And now we'll get into the video. So here we are in the sample customer QuickBooks area again. So we're going to be working on setting up a customer. So if you have your own client or if you have your own QuickBooks file, you would have your bookmark bar set up to hold all of the bookmarks that you think are most important to you. And one of those I do recommend is having the customers added to the bookmark bar so that you can easily get to your customers center when you're, wanting to look at the customers. So in this instance, since it's a sample company, it doesn't save anything. So we're just going to go to the customer hub and to customers and leads, which is actually where we want to be. So this is the area I recommend bookmarking, just the word customers. It might say customers and leads. It really just depends. Every QuickBooks file seems to be a little bit different in the way that they word things. So know that if it says just the word customers, that's okay. So here we are in the customers, and the purpose of this video is just to show you how to set up a new customer. So we're going to go ahead here and click new customer, and then you want to start to fill out all of the details. We're just going to make up a customer, and we're going to make it really simple because this is what people usually use, the name John Smith, and then we're going to go with company 123 ABC company. So that's the name of his company. Very good name. And then here you want to think about, is your customer John Smith or is your customer 123 ABC company? Because if you're a B2B, then your customer is really the company, not the owner. Although I understand that it also is the owner, you're still selling to 123 ABC company. And the reason that's important is because over here on the customer display name, you want to show who you are selling products to. So if you're selling products to John Smith, then you can, of course, leave it as John Smith if you're a B2C. If you are B2B, you'll probably want to change it to 123 ABC company. So that way it is just easier for you and your team when they start to go invoicing this client. They know exactly what customer they're dealing with. And another thing you can add in the notes, if you can't search by John Smith, you can add it in the notes, and anything in the notes you can search by as well in this little search bar right here. So the next thing we're going to do is add John's email, and John's email is going to be john123abc.com in this example. You can add in John's phone number, so 999-999-9999. If you have it, it is recommended. And the reason it's recommended is only because in the off chance that you have to send a customer to collections, they do request that you have the most information that you can submit. So that would be email address and phone number. Oftentimes it's easier to have it set up from the beginning correctly so that later if that happens, if you come upon that instance in your business, you don't have to go searching for that info at a time when that might cause you more stress. So that's really all you need up here. You can continue to fill out the rest of the information if you would like to. If John's company here is a sub customer, you would be able to parent it under another thing. However, I don't really recommend using that instance when you're just generating invoices. Because you can, if John has two companies, let's say, and you sell to both, you can set them both up as completely separate companies. That way your history is very much relevant to you as far as detail. So here under communications and permissions is a new function of QuickBooks. This is where if you have a MailChimp, you can sync your MailChimp up to your QuickBooks, and it will basically take all your customer emails into MailChimp. You have to get specific permission to do this from your clients. So make sure you have that permission before doing anything within this box right here. Next is the billing address, and we do want to fill out the billing address completely for all of our customers. This is because if you do happen to have sales tax on your product that you sell or service, then you need to be able to track it based on the correct addresses that you're selling from or selling to. So filling this out from the beginning is very important. Additionally, it does just look nice to send a customer an invoice that has all that detail on it. It just looks more professional. So we're just going to say Columbus, Ohio is where we live. And we're just going to throw in a random zip code number. These two probably don't go together. So shipping address, again, shipping address is going to be where we are making the decision of how we are billing them sales tax. So that's one of the factors of how sales tax is billed. So if you are collecting sales tax, then you will want to make sure that the shipping address is accurate. It usually is the same as the billing address. Now we're down to the notes and attachment section. And in this section is really anything that you find relevant to the customer. So in the top, when we added in the customer's information, I had mentioned that if you have the name of a business owner and you are maybe more apt to remember the owner's name as opposed to the name of the owner's business, you might want to put their name down here so that you can search for it in your search function bar within the customer center. So that's one thing you might want to add here. Another thing you might want to add is terms that they agreed to if you have a lot of different changes or anything like that with your invoicing. But those are really the only things that I can think of that I would add to this section. I wouldn't, if you have a bank letter from your customer, if you have the agreement that allows you to draft money from their bank account, if you have the engagement letter of the customer, you can add all those things as PDF documents into the attachment section, and that you are able to click the hyperlink and completely open the PDF and view it in another pop-up tab. So that's actually a really nice way to save the majority of the information that you would have in relation to a customer. Obviously, if that is how you are storing your customer data within QuickBooks, then I would just say make sure that your team member that is able to see the customers should be seeing that information and it's relevant to their job, so that you can have everything very secure within your system. But that is a nice thing about QuickBooks is you're able to add the attachments to the customer center, and that really ranges from their engagement letters to the terms of agreement that they've agreed to, and even to if they have a bank letter that they've sent you for their business and you want to update the information as you receive it. It's a nice area to be able to save those things in. However, I will say that the payment section is another place that you can save the banking detail for your customer, and then you won't have to, have their whole account information on hand all the time. You only see the last 4 digits. So that's actually a very nice way to maintain the security and the privacy of your customers, is when you receive that information, immediately put it in here to the payments area of QuickBooks. So to do that, you would just come down and make a selection on what payment method they're using. Another thing I will say is if you have the payment portal for Intuit set up, the Intuit Merchant Center, you'll also see QuickBooks Check, QuickBooks Cash, QuickBooks Credit Card. Those will also be options in here, outside of these options that we see here. When you're choosing, let's say if you want to do an ACH and your customer agrees to allow you to draft their invoice every month via ACH, you can choose either QuickBooks Check or just Check, and it will work either way. So in this instance, we're going to just choose Check, and then you can go through and choose the terms of their agreement, if they agreed to pay you net 15, etc. But usually what will happen, and what isn't happening right now, because this is the sample company, is you'll get a pop-up down here where you can click the button, and then upon clicking the button, it'll open a pop-up in the middle of your screen right here where you can actually enter in their account number and their routing number. You have to enter additionally on top of that it's a business checking or a personal checking, and the phone number of the person who owns the checking account. So that in that pop-up is where you would enter all that sensitive detail. Then you choose save. And over here, you'll be able to see linked below the word check, you'll be able to see the last 4 digits of their account number. That way you can always reference back to your ACH agreement, making sure that you have the right information or that you inputted the right information into QuickBooks. So that is the payment section. Additional information down here would be things that are like additional to you, things that matter to you. So you might have different customer types that you've already set up. And in particular, we would have to deal with sales tax. If they are exempt, this is a manual written in section right here. So it's not a drop down. You just write in why they're tax exempt. So if you typically add sales tax to your invoices, but in this instance, they're non-taxable, you can document the reason why they're non-taxable. And then in that way, if you ever get a sales tax audit, the auditor will come into your QuickBooks file and they'll be looking through things, and they might wonder to themselves, why did 123 ABC company never get charged sales tax? Then they would come to the customer profile, and you've already documented it's because they're actually non-taxable for the reason. So we would say nonprofit, not just, you don't want to just say non-taxable, but they're a nonprofit company is what we would say here. Or they are out of the state. So outside of your territory, your zone where you do charge sales tax. They're a reseller. There's a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't charge sales tax to a customer, but the customer has to tell you. So it is your responsibility when dealing with a customer to understand if they're sales tax exempt or not, but they usually will provide that information up front to you. And then you just need to record it correctly in your systems. So we're going to choose that this customer is not taxable because we've decided this is a nonprofit. But if they are, we would go ahead and choose whatever your sales tax is, which you would have set up in QuickBooks already. So if you're in a different state than California or Tuscan, Arizona, you would have that right here in your toggling list, and you can just choose it. Use company default is what will pop up if you've set up your sales tax center correctly to say, I am in this state, in this county, in this city. Anything that's applicable to you, using company default will trigger that information correctly. I will say that you do want to verify that on every invoice that you send, that it is triggering correctly, because sometimes it gets a little bit glitchy. So this customer is non-taxable. We're just going to select that there. And then custom field would be anything that you're using particularly to track customers on a custom field that you've decided this is completely changeable between every single business. And is it also not necessary? You don't have to enter anything here unless you are tracking by different custom fields. An example of a custom field might be an area that you distribute to. So if you're all over the United States and you like to track by the very specific corners of the United States, this customer might be in, say, the southeast corner. So you might add a custom field that says southeast here. This is completely up to you. And then relationship and sales would be where you found them, who they were referred by, if anybody, the owner or the person that is your direct contact in the company's job title and role, and then their preference for contact. So potentially they like to be communicated with via email, over a phone call. You can also look up industry, and you can add their LinkedIn or their Facebook, etc. So that's also kind of nice. And then at that point, you would just choose save, and it will bring you back to the customer's new dedicated customer profile. So this is how you set up a customer in QuickBooks Online. If there are any comments, please do leave them below. Any questions? I like to answer questions too. And if there's something I didn't thoroughly explain here, I will explain it in an up and coming video. Thank you so much for watching.